So FPL is back and game week 1 is in the books, and somehow I have contrived to be the only man in football to make a bigger fool of himself than Alexander Isak, because I challenged all the big name content creators to join my mini league. I thought I'd beat them all, and instead of hitting the target I have shot myself in the foot, and now I'm limping into game week 2 wondering whether to hope the wound heals itself or to amputate it completely before the infection gets too deep. And this is the most difficult thing with FPL, because you take a chance and it blows up in your face, and then you take another to get it back, and all the risks compound into a run of red arrows. And I know I should remain calm. I know it's only game week 1, but when you see the scale of the task before me, you will understand why the fear is so palpable, why the need to claw back points so quickly is so great. And I'll get to the toughest mini league in the world very shortly, but first let's recap how game week 1 went down. And you can see my team on the screen right now, and when you look at the names I had on the pitch, you wonder how it's possible I am currently ranked 9 million in the world. Just look at that attack. Bowen, Watkins, Fernandes, Palmer, Saka, 5 of the most effective players in FPL history, 3 of them at home, and the 2 away were at a newly promoted club and the 15th best team in the league last season, who were missing their regular goalkeeper. 3 definite penalty takers and 2 very possible ones. Then you see a £116 million attacking midfielder in the league's most potent attack, at home to a team who have lost 4 out of their 5 starting defensive players. Everything about that screams goals, goals, goals. Yet the only attacking returns came from the 5.5 million enabler Gamble, who may not even be nailed. And of course the only penalty in my squad was the soft one, which wiped out the clean sheet of 2 of the best defensive assets in the game. My second defender saw his clean sheet stolen by one of those agonising stoppage time goals, the ones which seem to plague my team. And then there's Matthias Nunes, the man who started 2 out of 3 games since switching to right back and only got subbed on once. And of course he misses out this week, and of course his replacement gets 11 points, and of course the man who never gets subbed on, he's introduced for just 1 point, while my sub defender goes and gets 7. Why would I ever have expected any other outcome? For 3 months we waited with such anticipation for game week 1. Well, roll on game week 38, because everything's gone wrong. But of course there are 37 more game weeks before this sweet release of the season ending, and now the focus isn't on how badly I've misjudged my opening squad, but what I intend to do about it. And I've put out those 2 walking videos working through my thought processes, and I will get to my conclusions in just a few short minutes. But first I need to show you the scale of the task ahead of me, so you can really understand the predicament I've got myself in. See, I've created this new mini league which I call Nightmare's Dreamers, and I made this league for several reasons, but the main one is I am striving to win this blasted game. I am desperate to become the world #1, but I know I cannot do this alone, because for me, I can't take on 11 million faceless IDs on a screen and try and get slightly better numbers than them. Like the great Harvey Specter himself, I don't play the cards, I play the man. So what I need is to club together the best of the best and lay my heart on the line for you all. And I may not be the FPL ace of spades, but when it suits, I can be the diamond in the rough. I won the League of Gentlemen for the first time 4 years ago, and I did it with that coveted top 10k finish, and it was only possible because my rivals pushed me so hard that only an elite finish could guarantee success. And then last season I did it for the second time, but I did it by sacrificing not only my ranking but my ethos on how to play the game. I was on for that top 10k again, and then I went defensive. Instead of attacking the nameless numbers ahead of me, I closed out the gentleman hot on my tail, signing players he owned to limit the differences between us, irrespective of how I thought they'd perform. I didn't play the cards, I played the man, and I kicked his ass. But I'll be honest with you, like I always am, over the summer something was missing. It was a relief to get over the line, but it didn't bring me the joy I'd hoped it would. And I looked inside to my inner child, to the baby nightmare who governs my emotions, and he kept saying the same 5 words. What would Kevin Keegan think? And I could stand on the steps at St James's Park and justify selling Andy Cole to win the League of Gentlemen, but it would all be empty words, because I know in my heart of hearts I won our mini-league by betraying the lessons the great man imparted to me. I know I became a 2-time champion by selling out. And maybe that is the name of the game in the modern FPL era. Maybe it is all about the algorithms and the statistics and the safe play. Maybe I need to become an AI android to rise to the top. But I don't want it to be like that. I want to fight to prove something different. I want to become the FPL World Champion, and I want to do it my way. And the only way I know how to do it is by playing the man, not the cards. And to do that I had to create the toughest mini-league the world has ever seen. So I selected the names and I went to them all and I said, I want you in this league. I want you to make me a better FPL player by forcing me to take you on in this league. I know you have the potential to win this game, so if I can beat you, then maybe I can become the world #1. And of those people I sequestered, 46 of them answered my call. 11 of my long-term rivals from the League of Gentlemen, and 35 of the greatest minds this game has ever seen. 11 names you maybe don't know, and 35 that you may well have heard of. I revealed them on the live stream last week, but if you missed it, there they are again. A killer's row of talent, and it's me in the electric chair. You want to talk about credentials? Nightmare's Dreamers has a combined record of 213 top 100k finishes. Of those, 153 were in the top 50k. Of those, 110 were top 25k rankings. There's 64 top 10k finishes, 43 top 5k, and 19 in the top 1000. Finally, there are 3 top 100 finishes, with FPL Northern's 5th place finish last season the cream of the crop. There isn't another mini-league in the world with credentials like that, playing out for the eyes of the world in the way only this one will. And I firmly believe that if I can beat those 46 superstars in this league, if I can be the best of Nightmare's Dreamers, then I will win this game. I firmly believe whomever wins this mini-league can win this game. But let's be real for a minute, because there are 2 challenges ahead of me here. The first is the obvious, how to turn my abysmal game week 1 into a great game week 2, and I'll explain my plan in a minute. The other, less obvious challenge, but perhaps the greater of the 2, is making my rivals believe they can win this game. And I need them to believe it, because I need them to drive me on. I need them to believe it because I need to play the man, not the cards. And I'm not entirely sure they do believe it. See, I've been in this YouTube game a year now, and already I understand the pressure of putting yourself out there. I understand innately the workings of the social media snipers whose only joy in life is shooting people down and making them feel bad. Now that's not something that really gets to me, because nobody can make me feel worse than I do myself. I am my own worst enemy, and it's something I fight every day, and some days I win and some days I lose, but I do understand that pressure. It's partly why I display my best ever rank next to my current rank, because this YouTube game is about constantly selling yourself. It's about constantly justifying your existence to strangers, about navigating through a world of ever decreasing attention spans and trying to give people a reason to invest in you. And yes, I hope my best ever ranking leads to you giving me a minute of your time, and I hope I can turn that minute into 20, and in that 20 I can sell you on this story I intend to tell and you decide to stick around. But equally as importantly, I hope I can sell these FPL legends on the dream too, because I know deep down inside, in the quiet moments when nobody is watching, I know they dream of being the FPL World Champion. I know they've pictured in their minds what it would be like to end the season with that 1 next to their name. I know they've envisioned that first video after winning the game, being the first content creator to document game week by game week the journey of becoming the best of the best. But I also know they tell themselves it'll never happen. I know they tell themselves that all they can do is try and finish as high as possible and see what happens. And I know in their darker moments, they feel that if they do not finish high enough, those social media snipers will lock their targets on them, and all those factors affect how they play the game. How could they not, if you know that if you take a risk, you're opening yourself up to the potential of weeks of ridicule? The biggest name in the game picks his favourite player from the team he supports, and he says he does it because he enjoys the game more when he has his favourite player, and he gets weeks of grief about it. How can that not affect people? So these masters of the game shove those dreams of glory aside, they stuff them down, and they become more risk averse, and they never dare utter their dream of winning the game out loud because they know the negativity that will ensue. But not here, not on this channel, because when they became one of Nightmare's dreamers, they perhaps unwittingly opened the door to their own dream, because I believe every single person in this league can win this game, and I will keep on going until they believe it too. Look how close they've gotten in the past. 5 top 250 finishes. You're talking 1 or 2 decisions falling differently and they win the game. I believe in this group of players. I believe this field houses a future world champion. And yes, I do believe it will be me, but there is an awful lot of work to do, because this game week belongs not to me, but to some others I hold dear in my heart. After all this hype I put into this mini league, all the effort I put into this game over the last 12 months, the last 5 years, 3 books, 50 videos, a dozen live streams, and my little brother knocks a team together an hour before the deadline, and he absolutely smashes me despite only having 10 players. If he'd gone with Dan Burn or Fabian Schär instead of gambling on Lewis Hall, he'd be topping the Nightmare Dreamers right now. Incredible! As it is though, he's 5th behind Ash from FPL Juice, who used his bench boost exquisitely to score 20 points and was a 96th minute goal away from adding another 8 points and going clear at the top. Rumours persist his top 10k finish was purchased in a backroom deal involving his own brother. But if the Luton Lothario continues like this, nobody will ever be able to deny his quality again. And then in joint 3rd and 2nd place, we have the underdog story of the ages. And you know, all last season the rumours persisted it was going to be the end of Elite FPL. That life and frustration with the game was going to see the end of one of the most revolutionary FPL channels the world has ever seen. Rumours enhanced by Steve-O himself declaring in his daily video diaries that he can't wait for the season to be over so he can walk away from the game. But then they found a way to make it work. They found the fire that still burns within their souls. They resolved to attack this season and to do it their way, irrespective of what the conventional wisdom said to do. They shut out the outside noise and they picked the squads they believed in the most, and they are the 2 highest ranked content creators in the world as far as I'm aware. Only 1 solitary point separates them in the rankings, and the only other FPL name who could keep in touch had to use that bench boost. In game week 1, Stevo and Jason reminded the entire world how they have earned the right to be known as the FPL Elite. And yet one name is ahead of them, and he is not a content creator. He's a friend of mine who was nervous about entering this league, fearful he'd not be able to perform at the level required. And it's funny because this time last year we didn't even know he was a League of Gentlemen champion. It was only because my other mate was twining he'd actually won more championships than I credited him with. That's what made me look into the stats from before I started playing FPL. And when I did, I discovered that the Ox actually beat Jock and Jeeves to the championship 13 years ago. And now, almost a year to the day of the video where I uncovered the forgotten champion, the Ox stands alone at the top of Nightmare's Dreamers. All the big names in this league, all the legends of the game, and it's my mate of a quarter of a century ahead of them all. And as for me, well, you have to scroll all the way down to the bottom of the league before you find my team. I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel, 46th out of 47, ironically only ahead of the man I beat to win the League of Gentlemen last season, Gladiator Glenn. And I talked of taking hits in those 2 walking videos, and if I take even one, I will be rock bottom of this demonic division, this congregation of champions, this League of Legends. The question is, what will I do to turn it around? And the simple answer is, I will take it 1 game week at a time, take out 1 FPL genius at a time. Directly ahead of me is Andy Martin, who everyone knows is the master strategist, the perfect planner, the FPL tactician, and who is optimised for game weeks 2 and 4. Then it's the D unit, the brash Aussie with the magic card which seems to nail 95% of 50-50 calls. Then after that it's one legend after another. It's as tough a challenge as this game gets, and I got my game week 1 calls badly wrong, so there is no margin for error. And I look at this team and it's tainted by the knowledge of what went on in game week 1. If game week 1 hadn't occurred, I would be delighted with this team. That attack is so good I don't even know who to drop to get Strand Larsen in. Those defensive assets have points potential at both ends of the pitch. And again, I could even drop one of them for Agbadoo. If game week 1 hadn't happened, there is nothing I would feel needed changing. If game week 2 was the first game week of the season, I would be thinking the 100 club could be on the cards. But game week 1 did happen. Villa were toothless at home even before the red card. West Ham were diabolical. Saka did nothing. Wirtz did nothing. Palmer did nothing. Reinders is a rotation risk. Brighton conceded late as always. Nunes was introduced from the bench, and people will say not to overreact, and they aren't necessarily wrong. But it's only an overreaction if the choice you make does not pay off. The sensible risk to take is to sell Palmer and Bowen for a hit, getting King from Fulham and Erling Haaland, start Strand Larsen and go on the attack with no rotation dilemma. I like that move a lot. As far as risks go, it's a very minor one, except Cole Palmer is the most owned player in the game. If he scores a penalty, then Haaland will likely need 3 returns to justify the hit, and West Ham have just conceded 3 goals to Sunderland. And Bowen is one of the most consistent assets over the last 8 months, even though West Ham have been very poor in that time. so I'm not convinced it's worth making even that move this week, especially when Saka's fixtures turn in game week 3 too. I think giving Palmer this West Ham game is more likely to yield a better outcome than the hit for Haaland. After all, if I have a genuine benching dilemma, taking a hit seems a silly way to find a solution. I can always take the hit in game week 3, and that would mean I could make 3 transfers rather than 2. And given the fixtures for Palmer and Saka, I do think it's worth waiting that extra week, even if it does mean ceding the upper hand to the Haaland owners for 1 more week. Ultimately, I knew every member of my squad would blank at some point. Yes, it sucks that 10 of them did in the same game week, but when you have a half-season strategy, ripping it up 1 game week in is not the move of a future world champion. There is one other move I am weighing up though, and that is Florian Wirtz to Anthony Gordon. An XGI of 0.58 away to Villa is not to be sniffed at. And will Wirtz even start on Monday night? Or will it be Gravenberch, McAllister and Szoboszlai in midfield with Gakpo on the wing? I don't know, but I'm not even entirely sure it matters, because after the Isak nonsense continued with his Instagram tantrum, St James's Park is going to be feral. That stadium is going to be rocking. This isn't just a game of football, it's a grudge match which I don't think Liverpool are equipped to handle. It is going to be physical, it is going to be emotionally charged, and after their conduct towards my beloved Newcastle this summer, Liverpool are going to get the thrashing they deserve. And Anthony Gordon is a big game player, and this is as big as it gets right now. And the fact is, I want to make these champions in this mini league throw off their own shackles, take the chances that maybe defy logic a little, and really chase that world number 1 instead of settling for being one of the best losers. I want them to do what Steve-O and Jason did, to go for the non-optimal players they have a feel for, and to find those extra 10 points that take them a little bit higher, a little bit closer to that world number 1. Because to become the champion of Nightmare's Dreamers, you can't just do the safe moves every week. You have to take chances, and I can't just tell them to do it. I have to lead by example, even from the back of the pack. And then I look to my little brother, one of my greatest inspirations, the man who led me out of the darkness of my mind and back into the world, and I see him riding so high in the world's toughest mini league with triple Newcastle, and I feel I need to learn from him once again. I feel like my brother is the man who can once again bring me back from the abyss I have found myself in, and I factor everything into the equation, all these intangibles, everything I want to achieve with this league, in this season, with this story, and I feel like this is one of those times when my heart should rule my head, and I should sell Florian Wirtz for Anthony Gordon. I might even captain him. So really the only question before me is this: who in the bloody hell am I supposed to bench?